Thanks for clicking the video. Today we're going to look at the 5 worst armies a beginner can start, because they are just playing 40k on hard mode, and who wants to start learning this wonderful game that way? So buckle up, Buttercup. Let's tear this list apart. So I want to make something clear before we get into this, because I already know someone on here going to hear the army and think I'm saying they suck. I'm not saying that at all. Mostly. Some of the armies on this list are really good, and honestly, some of them are probably more rewarding once you figure them out a little bit. But if this is your first army, and you're still trying to learn the movement, how objectives work, when to use your stratagems, what the hell half the keywords on your data sheet mean, these armies are going to throw even more stuff at you. So we're going to be looking about how clear the game plan is, how much stuff you need to remember. How important is your positioning with these guys? How badly does the army punish you if you happen to make a mistake? I'm not saying you will, of course, but if it does happen, how bad is that going to hurt? And how much stuff you need to happen in the correct order for the army to work. Because you can absolutely start with any of these armies if you love them. I'm not saying you can't. They're great armies later on. They just might be a little rougher to start and learn the game, but completely doable if you want to take on the challenge. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Also, real quick, I do have affiliate links down in the description for some of the hobby stuff I talk about on the channel. If you're already planning on picking some of this stuff up, using one of these links really helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. Really appreciate when you do. And thank you. All right, so let's kick this potato down the road and jump it off with number 5, Thousand Sons. Thousand Sons are kind of sneaky on the list because when you first look at the army, they really don't look that bad. Their range isn't gigantic, so you don't have a ton of stuff to choose from. You got Arubic Marines, Cult Terminators, your Sorcerers, always Magnus, and a few other things to mix in. So compared to something like Space Marines, where you open the unit list and there are 400 different guys wearing slightly different shoulder pads, Thousand Sons actually looks pretty manageable when you compare the two. But that's about the only easy thing Thousand Sons have, because now we're getting into the messy bits of this. The army revolves around your sorcerers using rituals, and those rituals can do really cool stuff. You can improve your attacks into an enemy unit, move one of your units again, throw mortal wounds down, improve your AP, and all kinds of useful tricks. Keyword, tricks. The problem is for a new player is making a bunch of those decisions at the start of your shooting phase before you even really started shooting. It's a lot of stuff to remember that you have to do before you do the stuff. So which sorcerer do you use? Which ritual do you need? Who can these guys see? Are they in range? Do you want to channel the warp and risk hurting yourself for a better chance at the result you want? And then what order do you want all this stuff to happen in? Because if you want to make an enemy easier to kill, doing that after half your army already shot probably isn't the move. And those sorcerers really matter in your list. You lose one and you're not just losing a guy who can fight. You can lose a ritual, a unit buff, psychic damage, and basically another tool out of your army toolbox. So Thousand Sons aren't here because their game plan is impossible to understand. They're here because you're trying to learn 40k while also learning the whole psychic toolbox setting on top of it. That's enough to put them at number 5. But number 4 is difficult for almost the exact opposite reason. Now we're going to touch on Aeldari. Aeldari have tools for basically everything in the game. They're extremely fast. They have battle focus. They have a ton of specialized units. And if you watch somebody who really knows how to play them, the army can look ridiculous. They're moving into position, hitting exactly what you need to hit, getting somewhere else, setting up for the next turn. All within a matter of seconds. Not really, but that's the way it feels. And then You're trying to do it in your third game of 40k and half the elves are dead. It's a really tight learning curve that you have to get going to learn these guys well, to play them well. And that's really the problem with them. Aeldari can do a lot, but they don't give you much room to screw up though. You mess up and it's done. And a lot of their units are very specialized too. So you're not just learning what your army does, you're learning what every individual unit does also. This unit wants a little bit more infantry type stuff. So because this army is so mobile, you have a lot of decisions available to you. That sounds like a good thing, right? Well, eventually it is. But for a beginner though, more options also mean more chances to get caught with your pants down somewhere behind the building where you should have been behind that building. You move one unit too far and it can disappear just like that. It's gone. You trade an important specialist into something that wasn't worth it, and now you don't have the tool you needed later on. Then you also have a whole lot of movement tricks. And if you use a movement trick too soon, you can't use it out whenever it opens up later on for you. So movement is one of the biggest things you have to learn with these guys. And now this is one of those armies where learning the rules isn't really the hard part. It's learning the table play. Threat ranges, terrain, firing angles, what your opponent can reach, where your units to end up in order to do the job. So now Aeldari basically hand you a really nice sports car and tell you to figure out without telling you where the brake pedal is. Well, so heads up, they just got some really cool dinosaur units. Now your Aeldari are riding dinosaurs. Who would have thought that? All right, so now let's hit number 3. Adeptus Mechanicus, or also AdMech. And this one isn't really because of one big complicated mechanic. It's because AdMech just keeps hinting you another thing to remember all game long. You got units that care about being around battle line units. You've got characters supporting other units. You've got a big roster of specialized units. Then you start going through the data sheets and everybody seems to have their own little thing going on. And you need a ton of them because their points are fairly low, so your army is very expensive time you build your army. And individually, none of that is terrible. That's what makes AdMech so deceptive. You read one rule and go, I understand it. Then you read another one, you got that one too. Then another, sure thing. Easy peasy. And then by the time your turn starts, you got 6 things going on and you can't remember any of them because everything's trying to do something different at the same time. The positioning is where it really starts to hurt a new player because some armies can basically operate as a bunch of independent pieces. AdMech really likes having the machine working together though. So if one of your support units is in the wrong place, it might not just hurt that unit. It will hurt your whole army. Now, something else isn't getting the benefit you thought it was going to be getting. Or this unit isn't close enough to the battle line anymore, so you lose that buff. Or you picked the wrong doctrine for what you was actually trying to do this turn. And you're figuring all this out while still trying to remember basic stuff like who controls the objective, whether your gun can see through that piece of terrain or not. That's why AdMech lands at number 3 for me. It's not that a new player can't understand the rules, it's just a lot of rules for them. It's the amount of rules you're being asked to think about at the same time. And once you get these last 2, we go from armies that are hard because you had a lot to remember to armies that just beat the crap out of you from making one bad decision. Coming in at number 2, Drukhari. Drukhari are fast. They hit hard. They've got transports all over the place. They have pain tokens and different pain abilities you can use to push your units even farther, right? Really cool. But then they can get across the table and hit exactly where you want fast. Which sounds pretty beginner friendly until you realize getting there is only half the problem. What happens after you get there? You might ask. That is the question Drukhari makes you answer consistently. You can reach that unit. Cool, right? But can I kill it? And if you can kill it, where are you going to be standing afterwards? Because 3 enemy units can see you now. Could something else charge you? Did you just trade an important unit into something your opponent is perfectly happy to lose, did you leave an objective to do it? The army makes you think a turn ahead because Drukhari generally don't have the durability to stand around and figure it out later. They are always on the move. And then you add transports. Now you're thinking about what's inside each transport, when those units need to get out, where the transports need to be, where the transports need to end its move, what units it's delivering, and whether you're about to throw the whole thing into a bad trade. That's before you even get into how specialized the army can be. You need to know which of your units wants the target you're sending it to. Because being fast enough to reach the wrong target does not make it a good idea. And that's why they are a rough first army. They reward you for understanding how the game works. The trading, the staging your army, target, priority, when to expose something and when to leave it hidden. And you can learn all that while playing them, of course. You're just probably going to learn some of it because your unit got vaporized and went, oh, I probably should not have done that. But even with all that, I still don't think they're the worst army you can pick when you're trying to learn 40k. That goes to the Genestealer Cult. Genestealers are ridiculous. And I mean that in a good way, because once you understand what this army is trying to do, there's a ton of cool stuff in here. But for somebody learning 40k, man, it can be rough. You're already trying to learn one game, and GSC basically hands you another game to play on top of it. Their current cult ambush system uses resurgent points and ambush markers to potentially bring destroyed units back into the fight. So your unit dies. Now, can you bring it back? How many points does it cost? Where's your ambush marker? Can your opponent reach that marker? Are they about to remove it? Where does that unit need to come back? And here's the really fun part. Your opponent is interacting with those markers too. So you need to pay attention to where their units are moving because they can shut down what you're trying to set up. Now you're learning reserves, ambush markers, resource management, the screening, the positioning, and you're doing all this with an army that's pretty fragile if you put it somewhere that it's not supposed to be. So Genestealer Cult also has a bunch of characters and unit with really specific jobs. So you need to understand how your little machine works. But you also need a pretty good idea of how your opponent's army works too. Where are they going to move? How much can they move? Can they reach this marker? Can they screen the area where I want to come back? What happens if this plan doesn't work? And that's the part that really puts them at number one for me. Genestealer Cult wants you to understand things about 40k that a brand new player hasn't really had time to learn yet. You're really planning around your opponent's movement. You're setting up where units could come back later. You're managing a lot of resources. You're trying to make these fragile specialist units trade pretty efficiently. Meanwhile, somebody starting with Necrons is basically going, cool, these guys aren't dead yet, and rolling reanimation protocol. And that's a pretty big difference. Now, does any of this mean you shouldn't start Genestealer Cult? If they're the army you really want, go for it. If you look at GSC and that's the army that makes you want to play Warhammer 40k, go for it. Just understand, you put 40k on hard mode starting out, but you'll be a very competitive player once you figure them out. Because out of every army we went through, I think Genestealer Cult asks the most from somebody who hasn't. So those are my 5 worst armies to start Warhammer 40k with. And again, worst for beginners does not mean the army is bad. It just asks a lot about learning the game to a brand new player. Honestly, some of these reasons armies are difficult are the same reasons people love playing them. They have more tricks, more decisions, more stuff you can figure out over time. They just aren't the armies I would hand somebody and say, here, learn 40k with them. But now I want to know what you think. If you started 40k with these 5, which one was it? And was learning it rough as I'm making it sound? And if you haven't seen the other side of the list, we already ranked the 5 armies I think are best for beginners. We're right here. So as always, roll those dice hot, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.